I'm going live shortly. You need to expand your screen as in full slide.
Yes, once I copy whatever, then I'll do that.
So, Mr. Rojanik, you are live. Let's just allow a few moments for others to join us.
Okay.
Okay, welcome to the live stream. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe and let us know if you are in the live chat now. So let's just allow a few moments for others to join us, just 2-3 minutes, and we're going to kickstart.
Okay, sure. I'm sharing the link right now. Let me see. Okay.
So, okay, if you're just joining us, just let us know where you're joining us from. Welcome. Let's just wait a few moments and we're going to kickstart. Okay, if you're just joining us, just let us know where you're joining us from. Okay, Mr. Roger, I think it's the best time to start. Okay, so I will just allow you 5-10 minutes to go through your slides for roughly about 5-10 minutes if you can. Then we'll start the live session. So everybody, welcome to the channel. So my name is Victor and I'm the founder for Southtech, and I'm going to be your anchor for this session. So this is an interview session where I'm going to be interviewing, let me say, somebody that is a friend, an ex-student. He's currently doing a PhD in cybersecurity in Russia. He's going to give you most of those details. The focus of this training is how you can leverage on scholarship opportunities as a Nigerian or as an African or as anybody trying to get additional skills. Then also he's going to tell you how you're going to go about this. Then we'll look at work-life balance as a student, someone that wants to work. Then we'll touch a little bit on remote work. It's going to be about an hour session. And so let's see how it goes. So if you are new, you've not subscribed to the channel, do well to do that. And if you have any questions during the course of the interview, you can ask in the live chat, and I'm going to either pause him or allow him after he's done with his after we're done with the interview, then I'm going to ask him those questions. So just do well to ask any question you feel like maybe not touched or addressed in the live chat. Okay, welcome. So are we hand over now to Mr. Roger to use the next 5-10 minutes to go through the few slides he has. So Mr. Roger, welcome, over to you.
Okay, glad to have you, sir. It's been quite a while, so I'm really glad to be here. I remember back then how it used to be. Okay, quickly, my name is Roger. Roger Nick Anadera, as you might just say. Roger is okay. Okay, I'm currently a PhD student at the Institute of Cyber Intelligence Systems, National Research University, Murphy, Moscow, here in Russia. It's been a journey. We started learning a lot of stuff back then. I mean, from master here, so Victor, back there in Abuja, before the first scholarship that brought me here, all that things start adding up and all of that. So I'm glad to be here. On that introductory note, I've actually had a master's in computer science back in University of Abuja before coming here for the PhD in cyber security. In fact, like the Russian system is a bit different. So it's much more like the UK, but there's a way they classify it as more tedious. It's more tedious, more it requires more effort, it requires more more labor, if I will put it that way, because the European educational kind of is system deals much more on papers and you know, basic stuff. But here, for the first year or second year, if you're not getting it right, they'll just send you away. In fact, you have to get to the root of the matter. Like, it's much more practical than any other thing. So it's more, it requires a lot of labor. But so far, so good. I've been good. I'm majoring on AI security, AI machine learning model development in security intelligence systems. In fact, I'm concentrating on most of those systems, like the application of those AI models or security models in firewalls, in what's it called? Like that. Most of those stuffs, they are my major research areas. I've gotten a paper or two, and I just recently we're working on a project that they actually in our lab that okay, I'm going to talk about much more later on how they control the cybersecurity industry here that don't allow certain things to be in certain way. Okay, so like the intrusion detection systems, the models that they use in them, you might be part of the system that developed them, but if it comes to like installing them and running them, they don't, there's an extent they will not allow a foreigner to get into. So I'm going to get into that later on. So first of all, I'd like to, that's just a basic introduction of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. First of all, these are the major, as you can see on the screen, possibly, these are the major active cybersecurity scholarships, though they are scholarships in general, but I'm going to point out where the cybersecurity side is coming in, because I had a lot of people too last year, in fact this year too, who sending inquiries through different platforms, like getting to know how to actually get this cybersecurity here in Russia. Well, I would say on the outside, no wonder somebody said, I mean, like it's a normal Russian idiom or an adage that Russia is like an onion. So if you peel the outside, you think you have gotten the whole thing. There's one inside, you peel it, there's one inside, you peel it, you can never know Russia enough. In fact, I think that's why they are one of the, if not one of the highest next to Israel, cybersecurity hackers in the world, based on how their system works. So it's on the outside, it looks very easy to get into their system, but it is not. I can say that at least I've been here going to 3 years now. So first of all, I'll say that to say this, from these active scholarship positions, you find out that the first one here is just the general open doors. Most of us are aware of this, but this is actually going on right now. It starts from September 15 to December 10. It closes in December 10. Then the first test comes up from January. If you're able to succeed, in fact, from this first time you submit your portfolio, which is majorly from the master's level. It doesn't include BSc. You start from the master's level, then the PhD levels. You put in your portfolio, your certificates, and maybe a general cover letter or so, and then you have a test. After the test, there's a short list. So after the shortlisting, you might be able to participate in 1 or 2 interviews before you get in. Some universities, after the first shortlist of those who qualify, they might not conduct anything. But some of the top universities here, especially like the MIPT, the HSC, my university, Murphy National Nuclear University, they usually do a brief interview for students before they get them to actually admit them. Otherwise, they could just say, oh, try another university. So that's the open door. So it's here, od.globaluni.ru. So you can check it out, and then you are free to learn a lot around them. It's one of the most resounding. And on that, I want to say this, because we are tearing this down to cybersecurity careers. I would say that if you find a university that is actually showing that they have a provision of a master's or PhD in cybersecurity, check very well that they are offering that course in English. Otherwise, you have 1 year to spend here, just like in Germany or any other one of these countries around here, that you have to spend the first year as a preparatory faculty. They call it PAC. You have to do that 1 year before you can get started. And even with that, the language is always an issue, getting to know more detail about the subject matter on the long run. So I would like to say, if you're choosing a school, find out if they're actually offering it in English, which is our general language that we have back there, or you can actually choose the Russian language to have that first 1 year before you can start your full program. It is not easy when they are offering it in the Russian language, and then you come in and you have English and you are not doing the first year. It's actually very, very difficult. And in fact, you might not succeed for the first, and if you don't succeed in first year, some universities, they might actually throw you out, like expel. So I'd like to use to the end, the top universities that are into this, my university is #1 in Russia when it comes to cybersecurity. Actually, it's actually much more military university, but they separate the cybersecurity into 3 aspects, and majorly it's only one aspect they admit international students. The aspect that has to do with cryptography, they don't admit, no matter how much you even know the language, they don't admit international students there. But like the if test, they admit international students there. They also admit international students on the general business continuity, the one that have to do with just basic network security, program security, or cybersecurity programs security, and all of that. So that's just it, I could say. So National University, MIPT, Moscow Institute of Physics Technology, and recently one that majorly offer cybersecurity in English, though they are much more a lower university, is the LETI. I think electrical, like that. That one is in St. Petersburg, ETU LETI, to Technical University in St. Petersburg. So you can check all of that out back on that side. So the second one here, because of our timing, is the educationinrussia.com. This there's a Russian, is it Nostra, whatever, there's a name they call it in Russia of the scholarship. This one particularly can take undergraduates. So it's not just this both undergraduate, master's, PhD. You can actually be a part of, you can actually apply for this. And it actually comes up between February to March. But on some occasion, some universities still accept application through this platform till November 1st. For example, like the Innopolis, which is one of their top computing university, though is in Kazan. It's actually a far city. In fact, they have the different times, so I think the difference between 4 hours, different from Moscow. So they actually still accept till November 1st on that. So you can check that out if you are applying for the various cybersecurity area or any of these areas. You can check that education-in-russia.com. Let's see how you can put in your document to. In fact, this one actually, most embassies, like country embassies, attend to you directly than you having to write exams. So they do their own testing within countries, different countries' embassies. These are the two major that we have from the government scholarship. And for those scholarships too, they have different levels of benefits for students, especially international students, and the different levels of provision. I know there's a tuition fee waiver, but then when it comes to stipend, and because that's actually one of the things that a lot of students have to survive on, or like thrive with outside the job, you have to actually check out the one that could actually balance exactly what you want to study, just like a trade-off between what you really want to study, you love university, and how you're going to survive in that university. That's the level of stipends. So there are some, they pay from 10,000, 15,000 rubles to some pay 2,500, as low as that, and even 1,500 and 5,000. It all depends. So check them out so that you can inform your decision, a quality decision on the best platform to start. So all others that you see here, like the individual universities scholarships. For example, in Scotech, that like we know, Scotech is much more like you have the US MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technologies. That's how we have. In fact, they have alignment. They do exchange of students, Scotech and MIT back in US, and their application is much more. They don't have general application. These are individual universities scholarship. You can see Scotech.ru. You can check them out between April to July. They have different tests. In fact, some of their master's tests are very, very technical. They are much more into practical mathematical sides of security, cryptography, and data sciences, and all of that. They also have a little aspect of biological sciences. So their master's program are very, very, in fact, they are one of the top class. You can check them out between April to July 1st. I think it's a 2-time application you could actually do within a year, and you do their test. But for those who are coming in for PhD, you might not need to do write the exams that they actually conduct, but you could have a review of your document, whatever, and then a potential supervisor have to schedule an interview with you to determine either to invite you or not. Okay, and I've already talked about Innopolis University is one of the at Kazan city. Is actually much more a very distant city from Moscow, but it's within Russia. And they still do their random. In fact, Innopolis is majorly known for AI development. They actually much more into data science, to AI in the computing side and robotics. So if that's the drive of your aspect, you can do all of that. Then I just put these two here, though there are many more. Right now, one of the hot cake, they actually almost desperate for students in cybersecurity, like this CISSPA Center for Information Security back in Germany at Sabraski city. It's also an outskirts. You could check this out. They're actually looking for a lot of on a different aspect, from system security to network security side, like embedded systems, and also with machine learning AI application, cryptography applications. They're looking for a lot right now, Pete. And in fact, one of the things that is very much interesting about these other guys is that they pay well. It's much more an industry based, but it's a government managed kind of research institute. They're looking for a lot of PhD right now in this aspect. They pay up to 4,000 euro per month. That's the German, I don't know now, maybe up to like 2.something million or so. So the technical university money too, they're actually also desperately looking for a lot of cybersecurity students right now, especially when they have to do with masters or PhD, and they also pay well. One thing about some of these universities is if they are industry-based, inclined research, they pay more. So it's good when you're searching out some of these stuff, you're trying to find out, are they industry-based or they are just government institute-based, or just research-based. They now depend on, for some of us who are looking for that balance between how much comes from it and exactly what you are going to do when you get there. So it's good you check all of this out when you are making a decision. Okay, that said, 3 major job links in Russia, according to some of these stuff I received before. In fact, the number one of them is hh.ru. This is one of the major. You can actually, around the whole world, most of the Russian international, like the others, Indeed, Glassdoors, and all of those sites, you can do much of the remote work. They're actually blocked in Russia due to the current issues with Ukraine still going on. But this hh.ru is one of the biggest. In Russia, you can actually find a remote job in Russia, in cybersecurity, in data sciences, artificial intelligence, and all of that. Software development, web development, application development. You can remotely work and earn money. And so 4.ru is also a good one. Prof is also a good one. Profi.ru. Profi much more. They actually emphasize much more the use of Russian language, because one thing about Russia that I've actually known is that most of their critical infrastructures, if you're not good with the Russian language, they don't actually really trust you enough to allow you to have access, because they are somehow anti-Western, much more like the Western society is actually against Russia. So they are a bit careful a lot when it comes to cybersecurity. So cybersecurity jobs in Russia generally, as far as I know right now, I mean, even for my professor, like he took me through a lot of stuff, even in our labs. So 5% of the firms that are actually, our headquarters, Kapasky headquarters is here, and we have a lot of professors visiting us in our lab there from Kapasky. There are 70% of these cybersecurity companies and firms are controlled by the government. So because they're controlled by the government, they don't, in fact, I got one of the mentors told me that I am an international student. I might not been able to get into this, go far in cybersecurity in that aspect, because I was actually looking at areas in cryptography that have to do with I just share this lattice-based fully homographic encryption is one of the latest development of encryption back in some of the MIT, Berkeley, some professors I've actually had interviews with last year. So that's where I actually dive into this. And he told me that there's no way I could go far with this because they have professors here. In fact, there's one professor is a technical in my university that's supposed to be my direct supervisor when I was getting much more streamlined. But I was just written in a note officially that they call them special is it specialist special kept aside government-owned professionals that they can't talk to international students at all. So I can't even talk to him at all. He cannot answer me at all. He's a professor of that in that area of research I was actually looking at, which is the lattice-based and fully homographic encryptions for access point and APIs as servers. So that's it. The other 25% that actually take people, some of them might require you to have the knowledge of Russian language, but a lot also just work with you, can work with you good, because one of the important things here is not just having a Russian language as an addition to whatever you do. It's also you having a knowledge in that area. In fact, like we said in Europe or in the US, we said certification is great. Your degrees are great, okay? But so far, so good, I know about Russia, even a lot of the competition that actually they sponsor a lot of students here, even either you are an international student or a Russian or anyone around here, is that Russians don't work with certificates, they don't work with degrees. They work much more with practical demonstration. So if you said you are good about this or you do this, they just say, okay, if you said you're good about this, do this, do this, do this, and show us right now. That's it. So whether you have CISSP, you have any certification, that's you, because they don't actually put stocks in some of those Western certificates or any certification, even the ones that they have here. There's one we went for and we were actually doing a training on, but then we were told that what's the point? We have the content back in our university, so it's professors there that actually teaching us. So what's the point? So we just need to get our hands dirty, and that's one way out of all of this. So on the last note, I'll talk about the importance of projects and research work to gain admission or either to make progress in the career. Is that these are the basics. So far, so good. I'm aware of that. In fact, like a lot of interviews I did, the first thing they'll say is, where is your research paper? Where is your last research paper? Or if it's a thesis, where is your last thesis? We want to see it. And you need to explain to us in 10 minutes exactly what you did there and the results. Now, this is exactly one of the, and if there's any interview that any professor you're going to work with or any job you're going to get, they'll say, what project have you done? It's just like if you're writing your CV, the CV might be a lot of stories, a lot of noise, a lot of information, but just show 1, 2, 3 project, either an analysis you did or a program you develop or a software, a security software that you work with, something to prove that you have a skill in that area. It's just about skill. So basically, system security is one aspect that has to do with embedded systems, operating systems, firmware, and all of that, using your C and C++ and manipulate your bash. You can manipulate bash, manipulate your shell, and you are good to go with system security, and you have basic knowledge of this OS and OS security and embedded systems. The next one here is network security. The SOC admin, penetration testers, or analysts, whichever way you are coming in, or any area according to their different breakdown that we have interest. Network security is one of the other aspects. You need to do something and show what you can actually do. back in one research I did last year, majorly on networks, because like me, I'm actually concentrating on network security, though network security, applying AI modeling in network security, as I said. So that's one thing that I do. And the other aspect is software security. I have to do security programming, architecture, and code analyst and debuggers, like security codes though. It's another aspect, which is one of the great aspects. And the third aspect there is cryptographers, people want to do with random number generators. And in fact, one of the hottest areas in cryptography right now, because in Stanford, Professor Dan Bonner. Actually, we had a lecture from him from Stanford University back in the US, and he was sharing with us about this lattice-based and phonographic encryption. It's one of the, because we know the quantum computing is actually more live now, and because of the quantum computing, very soon there's going to be a lot of issues with encrypted systems. So the only solution to the threat of quantum computer, quantum security that is going to come up later as the development of AI and other stuff are coming up, is actually going to be based on this lattice-based and fully homographic encryption. So either developing them for networks, APIs, access points, or for APIs, or for servers. If anyone have any interest, you should much more go into this. If you have a drive into cryptography. And the last one, which is majorly one of my aspects, is the AI and machine learning model developers and engineers for all aspects of security. But my own is particularly into network security. So these are just the 4 basics. There are so many job projects or job lines or research work that you could do, but choose where you know you have strength, and not only do you have strength, but it's relevant. It's relevant to the industry, is relevant to whatever is happening out there. And any professor at all would likely work with you. In fact, like of recent, I got a new kind of a job on a project in my lab with my professor. And I worked on models to identify systems or the devices within the network. So I developed 3 aspects of AI models that have to use different clustering, classification, and LOF and IS, that is local outlier factor models and isolation forest models. So I did all that, and that's actually what gave me the upper hand, and because I'm also an international foreign person, so I think project and research work are extremely necessary in anything you do right now. And that's all for now, unless I have questions that I could explain more. I would like to just stop here.
Okay, so thank you very much. So you can just revert back to the very first slide and we'll pick questions. So if you have any question, and don't forget to ask in the live chat, and I'm going to be answering your questions. Okay, while I wait for you to ask your questions, you can, we just allow you a few moments to like, get few questions sorted out. Okay, now I'll ask you a few questions. A lot of people want to do scholarships. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, sure.
Okay,
sure, yeah.
A lot of students want to do scholarships, either it's BSc, Masters, PhD. Some places are even asking, okay, what if I want to do a BSc in computer science? Now, what is like the very key, mention like 1 or 2 key eligibility criteria for a Nigerian student or a South African student or a Ghanaian student that's planning to do either a BSc or a Masters? I know you have scholarship more with respect to Masters and PhD. So what should be that thing a student needs to make sure that he or she has before start looking at scholarship opportunities? 1 or 2 items.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. If you're looking at any of the scholarship items, especially when you have to do with BSc or Masters, one key aspect is your mathematical skills. It's good you have basic mathematical skills and you have basic knowledge. In fact, the first thing I will talk about, if you are asking me what should you have first, is you really have passion. You really have passion for computing, and you are ready to like go on the long way. So the first one is you have passion for it. The second one is you have basic mathematical knowledge, because without that, you might not be able to pass tests, or you might not be able to answer questions correctly. So your mathematical side need to brazen up a little bit. And another side is just basic programming, I'll say basics, because in fact, for the masters and for the PhD, for the PhD, most universities require you to have at least 2. You are very good in 2 programming languages. In fact, when I came in, I was, we have a lot of knowledge about scopes, different things, but when they give you a project to do and you can't put a program together to actually execute it or show something about it, no matter how little it is. So in fact, I have to, when I came here, I have to go back to learn C to its very, very barest minimum. In fact, that dynamic memory allocation took me like 2-3 months to actually master C before I got to C++ at the very basic minimum for me to actually get through a course, because at the initial side, you have to do with basic courses which you have to fulfill before they will allow you to get into the research phase of it. Because like my university, they do exchange with other universities. Like I was supposed to do exchange, if not this this trouble with Ukraine, we supposed to do exchange university with other universities in the US, in Germany, in Finland, before all those issues came up. So they majorly require you to have basic knowledge of maths and basic knowledge of programming. And I know no matter any difficult area you might say you are, it's good you have passion for it. If you have passion for it and you are ready to go all the way, there's nothing that is impossible. You can go back to the beginning and start learning. I think those are the basic skills and what is actually required from you. And no matter who you are, one thing I know about the Russian education system or around here in Europe in general is that whether you are a foreign student or not, either in cybersecurity or whichever area, they need you to have knowledge of that particular area. If you have knowledge, they love you. They accept you easily, and you show passion that you want to really do this. Even if you don't have the full knowledge, they say you have a little knowledge, but you have passion. You really want to do this. They will just accept you. So I think that's one of the criteria I could share that anyone needs to have back home there and be able to get in.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Now, a lot of students face different challenges while trying to apply for scholarship. And if I need to write a very compelling application essay or statement of purpose, what and what should be the very most important thing I should make sure I have included in my statement of purpose or application essay for scholarship?
Okay. I think it depends on, is it master's or PhD?
PhD, let's put that PhD.
Okay. Because at the master's level,
or you can see how to answer for both of them, because there's slight difference between how you approach a master's statement of purpose and how you apply for your statement of purpose for PhD, especially when it has to do with research.
Exactly. So that's why I just asked you the if it's master's. Okay, for masters, they might not require you to mention your publications in your statement of purpose, but you are required to mention some of the courses that you have done before in your bachelor's degree, and you are able to, you might have tens or whatever number of courses you've done, but mention those courses that actually relate to where you are applying to. So if you are actually applying to data science or to cybersecurity, you should be able to mention some of the courses you did around operating systems, you did around geometry, you did around mathematical methods, and calculus, basic things that have to do with mathematical side, and how you did whatever side that you just mentioned. Those courses is key when you're writing your sort of purpose for a master's application. Even your cover, like this open doors, in their cover letter, they give you 10 points if maximum for a good cover letter or a good statement of purpose when you write it well in that order. You have to mention that, and you also mention your grades. You mention that is the grades that you graduate your bachelor's degree with, and then you mention your specific area of interest and why exactly do you want to go to that area. And if you actually describing why you want to go to that area, you shouldn't say it's because it's the most rewarding or the most financially rewarding area right now or whatever. You should turn it into where you are coming from and where you want to go and why you have passion for that area, the problems you are seeing in that area that still exist that you want to solve. And also in the PhD side, for statement of purpose, PhD side is more on the high side because you are required at least coming for a PhD, you have at least 1 or 2 paper publications that you've done before. And in sharing that, you should be able to go the same area of those research. If like your paper publication is much more, their area are much more different from where you want to go on your PhD, in your statement of purpose, you should mention those areas like that or emphasize on them. So you need to mention those areas that you have done work on. Even if you don't have 2-3 publications, you can mention your master's thesis, what you did in the research, and exactly what was the outcome, and what was your contribution, and what role did your supervisor play, because it also shows your kind of person. I got a student, he got through an interview. He said, I was listening to him, and my professor was one conducting the interview, and my professor was telling me that this student would like to do stuff on his own, that he will not go, he's not going to accept this. And this is very intelligent. I think he's from India also. So he said he was just asking him, what was the contribution of your teammates in this project? What was the contribution of your professor? He was just saying, I did everything myself. My professor was not attending to me like that. So if you're mentioning some of those thoughts in your work, mention the roles that you play in the research work that you've done. And not only that, you also mention your teammates. And one of that things you also need to put in, I just got this now, one thing you need to put in your set of purpose or cover letter are these normal, what are they called? Is this SMART? Is it SMART? They call them, no, not SMART. Threat, opportunity, weakness, strength.
Okay,
right?
SWOT.
Okay, yeah. Put your SWOT analysis in your statement of purpose. So what are your strengths? What are your research strengths? What are your weaknesses? And if you are mentioning your weaknesses, it should be mention them in a positive side on how they are going to contribute to the work. Not just you just said I'm busy. I know a lot of professors always guide that you mention okay, you could say, oh, time series. If you go into some of the modern areas, say, okay, I'm not good with time series, is my weak point, but I look forward to learning so areas in time series and being able to apply it in this my weak point, and I look forward to improve on this. This is very good. So, and then the threats, what might likely break you down in the whatever, and the opportunities, the areas you could explore not only depending on maybe that the content there, because one of the things that required in PhD is ability not to be tied to one particular university content. Like you can explore as many areas as possible, or as many resources that are available in that industry as possible, and be able to use them to bring forth a project or to bring out a unique contribution to knowledge in that research. So it's actually very much so. Make sure you put all of this together, that your SWOT and your maybe your grades might not be too important, but exactly projects you've done, research work you have done,
Projects.
all the detail and all of that. So that's a little bit I could contribute on that.
Okay, so let me ask you a question that has to do with academic profile, qualifications. What are, because you see a lot of students are going to be a lot of students want to gain either MSc or PhD scholarship, either in cybersecurity, in data analytics, and the rest. So what can increase someone's chances in terms of your profile, in terms of what can make is increase your chances of acceptance?
Okay, basically, your chance of acceptance, usually they used to ask for a CV, so what exactly are you supposed to put in your profile or put in your CV? And most application, when you put your CV, most of these universities that I know of, they go to LinkedIn, they go to all your social media to go and check your person if it corresponds with your CV. And one of the key things that you need to put in your profile, like I said before, is what you've done before and what you are doing now. So in that your profile, I got a professor that asked me this question before I even, okay, no, that was when I came, because I had different options. So, but I choose here. So he asked me this question. He said, during the time I graduated from my BSc and the time I was applying or I got my master's and other stuff, that there was a gap of like 3-4 years. That seems there was no space for education. There was no space for anything. I didn't put anything on my profile about that. What was I doing? So because if you're going to really stand out, because a lot of people, especially depend on if it's a scholarship that has to do with a competition to submit your profiles and stuff, you need to, every space of your life, of your timeline, you need to actually fill it up with something. Like me as a person, back there, when I'm not in school, I'm out for business. So I don't need to put like those two years or 3 years that I had a gap in my education, that I went out to go and do business or do whatever. So I need to put in maybe a particular skill I was learning somewhere, or something, a project that I was working on for that kind of a time. Something to fill the gap. It's actually very important in a profile to show that there are no lapses or gap in the progress or in your progressive knowledge towards that area. So that's one key thing I could say. That does not write out certifications, maybe online study that you have done, like maybe on Google or whatever certificate that you had. They don't add up. They also add up to give you an edge. In fact, they give you points a lot. In fact, on Udemy, on Coursera, all those courses, they give you points on profile. Put them, no matter how, even if it's a 3 hours course you did, put them on your profile. They actually give you an edge.
Okay, good. So your LinkedIn profile, Udemy courses, physical classes, boot camps, projects that you have worked on. Don't leave any year vacant. Make sure that you are working on something so that you're not being probed on or asked questions with respect to just being docile, not doing anything academic with respect to what you're looking for to study.
Yes.
Okay, now let's talk about money. If I'm doing a PhD, or let's say I'm doing a scholarship program that is funded, like how much am I going to be earning? And also, how does that contribute to my work-life balance? And are there like opportunities that I can get, either remote jobs or physical jobs or part-time jobs, to be able to have some kind of balance? Because Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, some of these countries, they, in terms of monetary, in terms of finance, how much you're going to spend, it can be on the high side. So how do you balance that and make sure that you have good standard of living? You can also make sure that you don't fall out from the scholarship program and you still have some kind of balance.
Yeah, okay. I understand that. The question is very big because it has about 3-4 phases. But I'll start small in a little way, but you can cut me in when I'm going a bit on the bigger side of it. Also, I'm not tailoring it around this whole concept. I say that to say this, that money is extremely important. In fact, for me, it should be beside the knowledge and what the future holds for your career. Money is very important right now. I mean, in the process or the time of your study. So that's why when I was sharing those scholarship links and stuff, I said, if you check in some of the universities or you check in some of the institutes, you find out that the industry-based scholarships, so when it comes to PhD especially, look for much more industry-based scholarships. Even in Canada, look for much more industry-based scholarship than university-based scholarship. But industry-based scholarships pays more than the government inclined scholarship. But even among like in Russia here, where the government inclined scholarships, which like the major two, like the education in Russia and then the open doors, they pay differently. In fact, the education in Russia, they mandate some countries to pay you minimum of 250 USD per month, plus what the Russian government are paying you stipend. They mandate your government to pay you that. So we have a lot of Zambia, Kenya, South Africa, a lot of students from Africa, even Spanish, these Southern American guys here who are just earning that. But unlike on the open doors, there's no emphasis on your home country. The government here just pay you directly. So the money is very important, and you must have not just for survival, at least you can live comfortably. Well, let's say you might not have need to say, okay, you want to send money home, you go and be doing something at home or whatever, but at least you need to live comfortably well so that you're able to like concentrate on your studies and your research work and all of that. So choosing a scholarship is one of the key ways that you can look for the one that balances your knowledge, the knowledge you're looking for, and the skill you are looking for, and the financial aspect of it. Now, comes to the job side. So does that mean when you get a scholarship or whatever, or you get into the study, one of the things that a lot of students, like international students, not even international students, even the Russian people, they don't like applying to this university that I am in. One of the things is, in fact, there are two in entire Russia that they run away from. My university, this National Research Nuclear University, and then the Moscow Institute of Physics Technology. In fact, some guys who did at that MIPT in their masters, they don't want to continue their PhD there. They said they will die. Why? Because this university contracts you with a lot of, you don't have a breathing space. Like you don't have a breathing space to do work. So if you find such university, you find yourself in such universities, it might be, unless you're working for the university or depending on the program you are doing, if you are doing a PhD, like you working for the lab or to take care of some student kind of a program, and then they are paying you something from there. Otherwise, some of those universities, if the skill, the knowledge, the whatever is not your major thing, I will not advise that you go. That's why a lot of students they run to Ruden. Ruden, we know Ruden was named after this Kenya man back then. Ruden here, the highest number of blacks or the highest number of foreign students in Russia are studying in Ruden here in Moscow. And the reason behind it is that Ruden is much more a liberal university. They give you enough time to work, so you can work. And in Russia, students are permitted, in fact, like one of the recent laws, you are permitted to work not just about the 40 hours they used to do. Now you can work even more. So there's that space to work, and you can find jobs here, even remotely, no matter the type of student you are, either foreign student or you are part of the system here originally. You could work remotely and have enough money to balance up. And some they pay good, some they pay low. It depends on the aspect of the job. Especially if it's in on the IT side, I think you have a leverage there. And there are other jobs that might not be that they might not tie you to a month or whatever. They pay you maybe per hour, per day, that you can actually find. Those ones are not education inclined. They are not skill inclined. They are just menial jobs, which back either in Europe or US, some of they call them student jobs. Like I have ladies here from Costa Rica the other day. They work in a school, like the way we have a secondary school. They wash plates for their lunch. And they do that, and they pay them, I think, about 2,500 rubles per day. So they can pay you. You can just take out time to go and just do that per day, and they just pay you, and you fall back to work. And the other jobs that have to do with, because language is a much more difficult thing here in Russia. So if you are good with English, you go with French. You can speak French. You can speak English. You can speak Arabic. You can speak Portuguese. I think these are the major languages that African are based on the colonial influence are privileged to have and to learn. You stand a very high advantage here. In fact, like when I came here, see some of the jobs, menial jobs I did was much more the language thing. I'm not saying the teaching side. There's the teaching side that you can teach French, teach English, either remotely or you get to any of their centers that this is what you can do, and they give you a class, they train you a little and be able to teach. And again, if you are teaching that, it's also good you have a brief knowledge of the Russian language to be able to teach that, because there are some explanation you might need to conduct to the student or to the participant using the Russian language. So that TTT side job is there, but then when you have to do with call center job that have to do with IT sales that sells different products to English-speaking countries or French-speaking countries, like they sell crypto, they sell commodity, they sell forex, they sell whatever it is. You can do all of those jobs and they pay good. They pay good, and you can balance that with your academics. But a situation where one of the reasons that I was actually privileged to do all of that, not that my school gave me a space, but most of those contents of courses that I was having at that first that first year entirely were things I was very much used to, or that I have actually done in my studies. So I was only just waiting for exams. But if it's a university that actually contracts you that you can't have space to that you have a lot to learn or to study within the subject area, it might be difficult for you to work. And that's trouble, a lot of trouble, because you definitely need the money. So that's how you balance
okay.
the
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, what you're trying to tell me is just like when I tell a lot of students, a lot of that you see, when you do a PhD scholarship, for instance, you are like an asset. You're an asset that needs to be utilized for good. Now, you are not paying those fees because your fees have already been paid by somebody, and there's some kind of mutual understanding between your fees being paid for you and you maximizing that fees being paid for you. So there must be a balance between you being utilized for the purpose of the scholarship and you also making sure that you get necessary skills and have some kind of balance with respect to your own personal life.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just ask you maybe one or two questions before we round up. So what's
Okay.
your advice generally for students seeking for scholarships in maybe cybersecurity, either MSc or PhD? What's your last words for persons trying to get scholarship? One, two, three
Okay.
things. I need a scholarship now.
Okay.
What's the process like? What do I need to look out for? How do I get started?
Okay. I don't know one or two, three things, but I'm going to mention them randomly, not in a particular order. The first one, which is my word for anyone, is first of all, sit back and think properly and check yourself properly that what area do I want to go into and why do I want to go into this area? And first of all, the why there is that, is it a relevant area? And do I have any previous knowledge in this area? Do I have a skill in this area? Can I develop in this area? So if it's on database systems, if it's on whatever area, even in the so-called cybersecurity is very big. So you could say, oh, I don't want to do with system security, embedded systems, signal processing, operation system like that. You want to do on network security, or you want to do choose your area properly. Make sure you make that decision early enough so that you will not be tossed around, and that will actually be going to guide you to looking for the particular professors or the particular university that are very good in that area. Otherwise, you might not be able to know exactly, not like everything comes, everything goes. You're going to miss the point along the way, and you might face a lot of issues. And that's one of the aspects, making that kind of a decision. And the second one is that keep searching. Keep searching. There are a lot of things out there. Keep searching. When you have a pool of search of maybe different universities or different professors, you might be able to now see, okay, out of these 10, out of these 5, out of these 4, I narrow it down, this one or these 2 are majorly in my field. You keep pursuing, sending mail, whatever, all the processes that you have to follow through to get to them. So have a pool of research, do your own personal research, being able to search a larger scope within that area, and have several options that you could actually work with. So I say that so that you not be tied to one area. And thirdly, since it's a scholarship that you are looking for, or we are all looking for, make sure you are prepared to look for one that actually you can be paid. There's better like money coming in, like better stipend, better whatever. Like some students who go to like that HSC, they pay them 2,500 rubles per month. They even charge them 1,500 for their accommodation. So, and if they charge you 1,500 for accommodation one month, which means you only have like 1,000 rubles for you within a month. How do you survive with that? So it's terrible. But HSC is one of the good universities around here because they do much more English courses. No matter how linear they are good. But to me, you shouldn't choose that. You choose university that you at least anything from 5,000, 10,000, you could actually go with it. Or like the euro, you could have like 2,000 euro or 1,500 euro. And you know that they take care of the accommodation and also check out those things out before you get started. So that's just a little I could say. And the last one, let me not forget this. Mentorship is important. So always fall back to mentor, like someone to actually guide you through, someone that you can, when you are facing a lot of stuff on the way, you can actually reach out to and say, hey, this is what I've gotten, this way I've gotten, I need information about it, or I need help about it, I need something new about this. Don't forget that no matter what information you get out there, unless you have someone who's actually somewhere around trying to like put 1 or 2 guides for you, there are a lot of things you might miss out on, or a decision you would have make wrong on the process. So it's good to get 1 or 2 kind of a mentor. I'm not saying YouTube, whatever, or any sources they are not about. It's good to have a physical person or somebody an institute like Mr. Victor here, there's someone to actually say, oh, this is exactly what I know about this area. This is someone I know, and then be able to like get you through. So with this, I think anyone can actually go far to have success in any scholarship application when it comes to IT-related field and possibly the cyber security world, basically.
Okay, thank you very much. So before I pick few questions, I have few questions on the YouTube live. So
okay.
You will use a few moments to just tell us your journey. Tell us how you got your scholarship. Tell us how you applied, how you prepared. Tell us how you got in. What was the environment was like? Tell us perception about like my daughter was asking me today. I told her that I had a session with a student in Russia. She said Russia. So tell us about what the process was like. What the typical process like? What's Russia like? Let us know. You have a lot of perception about Russia from the outside.
Yeah.
So let us know what it is like.
Okay. Basically, my journey is very simple. It's not an easy one, but I've actually had other countries that I've actually been applying for different platforms for quite a while. But one thing that struck me about when I actually applied, in fact, I came in to Russia, the scholarship education system through that one of those links I shared here, through the open doors. This first the scholarship link actually. So that's how I came in, and from a test to another test, and then to an interview like that, and I'll just so. And we at the middle point we're supposed to have a transfer, and then my particular professor here actually wrote on my behalf. He wanted me to be kept here, and I was kept here. Actually, he was my second supervisor. He's supposed to be my second, but then he turned out to be like he wanted me more, and that's how I actually been here. So it's been a journey that it just, I'll say, like we said back in Christendom, is by grace, because a lot of times you might choose certain area or you want certain things, and you see other things that God really wants for you are happening. So I'll say to my journey is just been like that. But one thing that I'll give to anyone about this kind of a journey is that keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, because you don't know exactly. I think we used to say it in the Bible that you sow in the morning, in the evening, you don't keep your hands out. So keep pushing everywhere. You will definitely find where you will get hooked, especially when it is your place. You will know it's your place. So like me, I already know that Russia or Moscow was my, in fact, when I was coming here, the so-called violence with, or the so-called issue with Ukraine have not started. That was back in 2001. Yeah, I think the whole thing started in 2002. So there was no idea about that there was going to be this kind of a crisis coming up here. So the outside world starts seeing Russia in a different perspective from that time, even up to now, though things are getting down and better. But I know Russia have always been one destination for a very high classical academics. In fact, I would say the Russians can actually access the world education, especially the Western education, but the Western education cannot or find it difficult to access the Russian education system.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
Yeah, okay. If I have to break that down, it will take a lot of time, but let me just explain this way. Russia, just like I said, the best way to describe the Russian kind of a system is like an onion. Because, right here, what you call outside world, the PhD, here, they call it candidate of science. And why they call it candidate of science is that they call it the old Bologna kind of a system or something. I don't know. There's the old system from the Soviet Union era. The knowledge is actually packed in different phases. And it's not just about subject practical research. Do you know, for master's student here, for the first year, if you in that area and you have not done anything worthwhile, and maybe you didn't pass one or two of your courses, they send you out, no matter how much fee that you pay. Some universities even refund your fee and tell you to go away.
Serious?
Yes. In fact, I have in Africa, I actually work with the African student group here. A lot of them is in Congo or whatever. They send them home. They send them home out of the university that they cannot allow them to continue the system. They don't plead for it. They don't beg for it. They don't, though they take care of you, but they want you to measure. If you are not measuring up, they just get you out of the system immediately. And
even if you're on scholarship or you paid money.
Yes, even if you're on scholarship. Even if you're a scholarship, they'll tell you you will lose the scholarship. They'll just write to the government that this student is not ready to go forward about it.
This student is a liability. We don't need him. Get him out.
So the government is like that. And again, their knowledge is very hidden. Their knowledge, yeah, I'll say that, like, how do I say it? You know, we can access most of the whatever, you can access them online, you can access different professors around the world, say stuff. The most of the high class, they are classified professors in universities, they don't release anything out. Some even, like, they almost sleep in their labs. They don't release anything, they don't release document out, they don't release paper out, they don't release anything out. Everything they do is here and it dies here. This is to develop their systems, to develop their technologies, either from aerospace to whatever it is that they do. You can't read their books. They will tell you that you are not privileged to even read their books.
So you must be in Russia. You must be studying in Russia. You must be accepted into their programs, or you are an asset before you can even have, and you are found worthy before you can now be able to have access to some of their discoveries, their knowledge, and the rest.
Yes, and you are good, and it should be like you are good with the language, and they will not find you as a security threat. They won't find you as a leakage to their knowledge. Then they can literally to expose some of those stuff to you. Otherwise, you will, in fact, like if you interview one or two students from Africa or the foreign community here, they'll tell you, we have guys here who came to study atomic energy, nuclear power plant from the Nigerian government, about 6 of them. They left here last year, these universities, and since then they have the Nigerian government have not sent nuclear students here. They sent to Tomsk, because there are only 2 universities, this university and a university in Tomsk. I think Tomsk Polytechnic University or so. Guess what? Out of 7 or 8 of them, only one had what is called candidate of science, which is the PhD. The other 6, 7, in fact, 6 of them, they call it is it a pitch, whatever, just like paper of completion.
Like not even up to an MPhil.
They just give them paper of completion and they tell them, okay, you can go. Only one out of those 8, in fact, if I mention his name, is a popular, the son is well popular in Nigeria.
Don't mention, please.
Exactly. So he is the only one who had kind of science, because what their system is, you could do the courses, do whatever. If your research is not found worthy, and one thing again about their PhD or their whatever is that universities don't even issue degrees. It's of recent universities are like Stotech, who want to go much more international, start issuing degrees. Their Ministry of Education are the one who issue degrees. That is why when you graduate from university, they said, okay, we are now going to submit all your document, your research work to the Ministry of Education. if they approve that we should give you a degree, they will give you a degree. So it's not like you go to Westminster University back in the UK and you are just finishing, they just give you a degree and say, okay, you are good to go. No. Here, they pack everything, say, okay, now that you are done with all our requirements, you are good. So just like in Nigeria, you said, what kind of system is there in Nigeria? I don't know. Like, you know, everything back in Nigeria, everything end up in the school. But here it doesn't. You have to end up at the Ministry of Education, which is like the
That's
government.
to say that the government is in charge of typically everything.
It's a socialist system. So it's typically government controlled, government managed, government like
Okay.
that.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let me put up some questions to you now. Some students are asking. Okay, somebody is asking, is it possible to do a BSc, a master's in, let's say, cybersecurity or ethical hacking with a BSc in computer science? Of course, that is very possible. Then somebody is asking that, is it possible to have a scholarship in cybersecurity without a BSc in computer science? As you want to do something in cybersecurity, but you don't have a degree in computer science.
It will be hard, but it now depends on, do you have any certification in computer science? Do you have any work you've done in computer science?
As in work experience, your papers, your
work
projects,
experience
your
in that
courses,
area,
your seminars.
in IT or whatever. What is driving it says much of what is driving you into cyber security. So
okay. So somebody's asking, what do you mean by okay, somebody's asking, okay, I was making a comment with respect to people looking out for industry-based scholarship, instead of personal or government scholarship, because for those ones we pay more. Can you just throw more light on it?
Okay, beautiful. Like here, for example, like that's school tech I told you about is much more industry-based universities scholarship. They pay up to 75,000 rubles here. That's almost like $1 million in Nigeria. They pay that, and the reason why is that they tie you to your project. You do industry-based project. So a professor receives maybe $5 million, $10 million for a project, developing a project, and he needs research student, either master's or PhD in that area, who are going to study to do research work. So you are really like working. So it's just working, but at the end of the project or the time duration you're going to do that, they just issue you your degree. So when you're looking for in industry base, you should know that you are much more going to do much more projects. All the
you work more.
Yeah, you work more. Actually, you work more, and then you work in teams. You work with your. So, like, if you have a personal interest or something, is secondary. So whatever passion you have, it must be tailored. In fact, most of the research topics that are provided, that students provide or select supervisors in industry-based research, you don't provide that. So if they check your skills, that you're a bit like, for example, say you want to go to AI or whatever, they said they want to check your Python skill, check your MATLAB or C++ for system, whatever. Once they check all those stuff, that your programming is good, your mathematics is good, they just take you in. So they create your own unique topic of research for a project for you, which is like a niche into the general project body. So you are going to work much more, which is okay if you know what you are doing and you really want to do something that is worthwhile. And that actually permits me to say this: either you started now or you have not started, start doing something. No matter how little of what you do, it goes a long way selling you to your next is the employer now, because the professor is like your employer actually. You know, like for example, in the US, the $35,000 annually that they pay, Professor was telling me the other last year, it's actually a full employment. So they expect you to actually be like you are working. So you should know that they should be able to, you should be able to, they are paying you for your work, for what you're doing. So start doing a project. Start, if you're a developer or you build anything, start doing something, a little project, that some basic analysis, but make sure you have them documented. You have all your whatever there, like the GitHub, you have all accounts. Make sure you are archiving them, and anytime they are required of you, you can easily just refer them and show them, and it actually spell more. So the industry base pays more and is more encouraging. But if you prefer the academic side, is also good, which is like a balance with your skill and also the intellectual side of it, that you have to do volume of work, but also that have to do with your personal interest or particular kind of a topic, you know. So that's a little I could say about the paying industry side of it.
Okay, just give me your last word. Give me your last word. So we call it a wrap.
Okay. My last word for this is that thank you for that. I have the opportunity to share this with the people. I would say for the young people out there, especially when they have to do with where we come from back in Africa or wherever, the key thing is we have a lot of volume of knowledge there, but we don't do much practicals. We don't do projects. We don't have labs. We don't, in fact, our professors back there, nobody cares about what all they do is papers, certificate, or whatever. And if you really want to make an impact, if you really want to have a better opportunity, either here or anywhere around, either US or in Europe, you should much more be doing something, be practical, get your hands dirty. If you don't have a laptop or you don't have a system, whatever, get something doing. Start learning a particular skill, go into a particular area and start doing something. And you go a long way, helping your scholarships, helping you to get approved or getting a job or working online or anything at all. So start getting real with the IT world, and it's evolving, and we hope it's going to change more for the better. And Africa is actually at the bottom level of IT, and I hope that together we, all of us, will be coming back, like improve the system much more and see how that could be like what we are coming here to enjoy and to learn from. Okay, that's just a little word I could say to every other person out there, and to you, our uncle. Thank you, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. When are you going to be rounding up your program? What are your future plans like?
Okay, well, you know, they said my professor used to say, one of the questions that you should never ask the PhD student is, when are you graduating?
Ah.
You never ask a PhD. If you ask a PhD student, you have offended him.
Okay, now, but let me ask you something. Tell me about labs. Tell me about the practical side of learning, like in Russia. And I understand, and that I think we discussed some time ago, you were not in Russia, you went to another country, like kind of cross learning programs. Tell me about it. Also tell me about labs.
Okay, perfect. Now, I got a Kenya colleague who came. He's a senior guy. He came here, and he was coming into cyber security. He has done basic stuff, BSc computing, whatever. They just brought him, and he said, he told me they took him to a labs in X. They just asked him, for you to be accepted into this department, go to that system. Nobody has given you a password on it. Hack it and get into the system. Let's see, and we give you 30 minutes. And if you do it, you'll be admitted into this lab. And he said he started sweating. he couldn't bypass the whatever. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't press. And they told him that you see that he cannot be in this the department. They have to push him to one whatever international thing like that. So that's how he emerged. So their exams, most exams, they might teach you throughout the whole semester, but guess what? On maybe the exams, usually the exam is just like 10% or 20% of what they actually require of you. They need to be at the lab every time. And now the lab side of it is that if you just do a small thing that is worth it, they give you your A. Excellent. Or they call it a listener here. So
what is it again?
Okay. In an entire semester, maybe a course, maybe in network security or API security kind of a course, or whatever security, whatever course that you do. The 70 to 80% of what is required of you is whatever you study throughout the entire semester, being able to use it to do a practical thing that they can see. Either if you are doing written passwords to actually they have an app. I remember at the time they're like, okay, that this random number generation.
Yeah.
I should code. There was is it Folia method also in mathematics or whatever, that I should code it. That once if I succeed in coding in putting on a code or using a Skippy, that it will definitely unlock the application.
Yes, you're trying to say if you use Fourier series to try to use a Python library to generate a series of numbers, because you're using that particular Fourier series, it will be able to, as in that's the logic behind what they want you to do. So if you're able to do it, then you should be able to crack a particular password.
Exactly. So if you are not able to do it, they know that you cannot code that Fourier series.
That means your mathematics is poor. That means also your Python is poor.
Yeah, it's dead. So it means you failed because that's the meaning. So they don't. It's not about writing papers, a lot of papers, a lot of work.
Like in the UK, especially in Europe, you have a lot of papers, assignments.
Yeah, even the so-called assignment, they could just say, okay, we want you maybe a mic or whatever. We want you to go and do a sniffing on it. Just do a sniffing on this and tell us what you observe in it and come and present it in 20 minutes. That could be the test you are having for a semester. And if you succeed in presenting it properly, well, you already have 60% of the score. It's not about going to write, read according to this, you quote people. So if you quote everybody, how about you? so this is the practical side. This is the lab side of the Russian education, especially in my university. In fact, it's a no-go area when you are talking. Whatever you say. In fact, like me, something like they call the red diploma. If you have the red diploma here, you can actually apply for citizenship and all of that, and you can easily get things easily on. But no matter the red diploma for a job or for a project, they will just say, okay, what do you say you can? What do you tell us you can do? You said, okay, I do this. I have a certificate. I have a degree. They say, okay, come and do this and show us the result. We give you 45 minutes. So if you do that, we know all that you have been saying is true. If you cannot, it means all you are saying are false. And they make a decision on you. So that's how the lab system here works. So like the exchange program we're talking about, we have, in fact, like I said, this Scotech do exchange with MIT back in US. We too, National University have exchange program with MIT US. They have with the one I went for in Finland. There's also in Germany, TUM, Technical University, Munich. They cut some of those ties when some of these ties start coming in. But we still, like some of us who are dog-headed, we don't need much through St. Petersburg. We penetrate, we went there to go and find this out ourselves at Finland, because in fact, I look forward to like getting, because Finland are much more on the English, much more English side of it than in Russia. That's why I really wanted to see how I can manage, but that couldn't work based on, because of the ties were broken. And then in fact, one of the things that was required was starting from the scratch. If we want to start from the scratch, they could renew one of the scholarship stuff, and they're going to increase specific, but you started from scratch. We started from scratch as at this time, and that's quite on the other side. And again, my professor back in my university really love me and what I do and how I'm able to
passion,
support
your passion, your belief in the possibility of things being possible.
He just wrote that he will not. In fact, my letter is actually one of the popular letters they have around here. They shared it in one platform of the university with international students of how the professor Alexander. In fact, I got a bitter coolers from Nigeria to him of recent, and he was like he want to order more. That
wow.
He that. So one thing again, succeeding in PhD or in any of those so is that your relationship with your supervisor is extremely number one to make progress. Because if your supervisor doesn't even like you, no matter how good you are, it's another thing. You might not be able to succeed in his project, and it might stress you. And here, like you were asking me, when are you completing whatever? People do PhD here 7-8 years and no headway. So you can't really say, but the duration time basically is 3 years and maximum 4 years. And after that 4th year, the scholarship will not cover you. You might have to pay fee for yourself. But we have lots of them from Turkey, from whatever, who pay school fees. They are 60 year, some 7 year, who have not, because the minimum paper publication here for a PhD is 6 papers. So not the papers you publish just generally, you publish them on Scopus. That's the top journals in the world. 6 papers you must, but if you are not publishing 6 papers, 5 minimum within the Russian top journals before they can forward your details to the division for you to have your PhD. So if you are not ready to work hard to have all those papers done, I know there are, even back in Africa, there are PhDs who only have 1 paper published or maybe even none. But here, if you don't have 5 minimum and 6 on the average, no one will actually allow you to graduate. If you like, they can just give you certificate of completion, because they call it ZAPES, whatever. They give you and you can go and you're fine. So that's how the exchange program works, and their lab system or their practical works here.
Okay, thank you so much. We spent roughly about an hour, 30 minutes. So I'll make one request. Can we have a monthly, let's say 1 or 2 hour session? We can have maybe a more or less like a hands-on session in cybersecurity. Yeah. We just run like 1 or 2 labs. Just cross-fertilize, share knowledge with persons interested in cybersecurity. We can do something on API security, something on network security, something on cryptography, just anything. Just each monthly session, we can just have like 2-3 labs. Yourself, maybe your co-PhD student, a Russian, whatever. Just a 1 or 2 hour session, but it's going to just be maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes of talk. Most of the times when you talk too long. We just have 10, 15 minutes of talk. We hope it doesn't get too long. Then we have maybe 20 minutes hands-on session by you or any of your co-PhD. If you can arrange that for us, we can just hold that once every month.
Yeah, sure. It's okay. It's okay. Even some of my project work, actually one of the things that we're putting across on papers, we could actually start showing some of those sorts of network security, API security, traffic analysis, and how you
That's
monitor.
network traffic analysis.
Exactly. And that's where I'm actually working on intrusion detection systems right now and building models, AI models on them right now. So we could actually do some of those.
Okay, so thank you very much. So sorry to cut you. Somebody was asking about programming languages. If I'm talking about cybersecurity, programming languages. So I have my own bias, but let me ask you, since somebody in the live chat is asking, programming languages, what are programming languages should be looking at? You know, you mentioned somebody should be good in programming languages.
Yeah, exactly.
What are your thoughts and why?
Now, like I told you, when I came in, I struggled with system level programming, which is have to do with the C and C++. In fact, one course that I actually said I struggled with was HPC, the high computing performance course. High computing performance course is have to do with MPIs, applying MPIs, is it SCUDA or whatever, CADA, whatever. Okay, I think there are about 3 based on C++. Okay, and
yes.
high computer performance programming. If you are not good with that, there's no way you can deal with signal processing that have to do with embedded systems and operating system security. So if you go into operating system security or anything that have to do with system security, you must have C basically, which can always be converted to C++. But then both C and C++ are not negotiable if that's your major area. And in fact, that's a plus. And then if you go into networks, network programming, network security, then you have your Python is number 1, which is you always have around, and maybe MATLAB, how you can work on MATLAB is key. But in all of this, either C, these 2-3 languages, they are key for any security stuff, like the C, C++, Python. Maybe JavaScript might come in later when you have to do some you want to manipulate APIs, manipulate them with your some of the libraries like JSON and other stuff. But basically, you need Python. R is also one other extra. But C and C++ are very, very important for any cybersecurity developer or any cybersecurity career. So you should have this. And for those going on the sub side of machine learning or whatever side you are coming into the security, all those libraries, like I mentioned, Skype, the SkyPy, there's Skippy. You should be able to master
Skippy, scientific, all of those. In short, the Python libraries, they're quite much.
Yes, they are quite much, but those ones are particularly for security, because without Skippy, you might not be able to work on Bash, on your Bash whatever, and run your basic codes on Nano, or that has to do with the back end of the system analysis. So I think you definitely need this. These are key, and without this, you might not be able to do much practical works around them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining this live. So please do some back work. Try and get us maybe, like I said, once a month on a Sunday, we can have a session with like 2-3, like a panel. We'll just have a brief 15 minutes discussion. Then we have some labs, some hands-on. We hope that with time it's going to grow to a bigger audience, but we just want to demonstrate some hands-on skills that across different areas in cybersecurity, whether it's going to be web scraping, whether it's going to be API security, network security, or even some basics, especially for people that are starting up, because at times it's difficult for someone that is just trying to start up to be doing some advanced stuff, because a lot of students might not have some of the background. And that's why also for the last 1 year, I've spent a lot of time doing quite a lot of recordings on my channel so that you have some fundamentals in digital forensics, fundamentals in cybersecurity, in networking, in basic programming. I've taken my time to do that so that when I start doing a lot of advanced stuff, it's easier for me to say, okay, go check this out. And it's a, you know, it's not just this kind of random video where you just touch a little bit of this, a little bit of this. It's a complete series. I'm also trying to do a series in Linux, because if you are to talk about embedded systems, hardware, some security that have to deal with hardware, you cannot talk about that without Linux. You cannot talk about that without looking at languages that are very, very key to your hardware, that we actually low level. Not the JavaScript and the PHP stuff and those stuff. Those are merely just web stuff.
It's basic. It's basic.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for attending this live. So I look forward to
sorry, that's not to discourage people who don't have whatever. You know, there's this saying that they used to always put that on the web, that even if you're not good with mathematics or programming, you can still be a cybersecurity professional. It's okay, because you can be on the management side, on the basic side. So it doesn't really, but if you really have to you know, decide that they require people more, or they need people more, or that pays a little bit for beginners and entry level or medium level, whatever, you need this side. But that should not stop you if you are not technical side oriented, or you don't have passion for it, just want to be at the management side. It's still okay. It's still okay. You can just be
very okay. On my channel, I did a video that has to do with non-technical cybersecurity rules. Right? That's why I talked about content writing. Talked about policy development. I talked about sales even. I talked about support. I talked about all of these rules, even cybersecurity project management. I have an ex-student that is in Canada that's what he does. You see, those skill sets don't need you to go too deep. You just need to have an idea. So even if you're interested in cybersecurity because, yes, you're passionate about it, it pays well, and you don't want to do the real technical stuff, you are welcome, right? You just need to know a little bit of web, a little bit of network, and a little bit of what it looks like. And you can go the route of doing information security policy document creation. You can be a security awareness engineer. That means you have to do a lot of talking, the collaboration. You can do IT, cybersecurity project management. You can do that. You can do sales. There are quite a lot of things you can do in cybersecurity, even if you don't want to go hard, right? So let's leave Roger that wants to go very, very hard, and I wants to do a lot.
All of us want it.
So thank you very much. Catch you next month. So give me a date and let us have. Let's talk more hands-on now. And please invite 1 or 2 more persons so that we have like three panelists. We can have 20 mini sessions. We'll just do some demonstrations, do some labs, get some skill set, so that we can also add it to our CV, our portfolio, because that's what shows you are different. If you say, okay, I can get access to a Windows 7 or a Windows 10 or a Windows 11 PC, even when I don't have the password, I can get to BIOS. I can get to safe mode. I can get to the PowerShell. I can go to the command prompt. I could try to see what the typical users are. I could try to do something. Yes, if you say, okay, there's a website, I can be able to try to look at what are the admin URLs I have there. I could say, okay, what are the possible languages it is built on? I could do vulnerability assessment. Okay, I have an API. If an API is going to be maybe for a payment gateway or for a employee database or whatever, if I'm able to know what crude operations, what are they creating, what are they reading, can I be able to expose some things and whatever, be able to add something tangible to my CV, so that if somebody sees that and says, okay, yes, I think I can give this guy an opportunity to at least start something. You mustn't be perfect. That's not the goal. The goal is to make sure that you are ever learning, and you never get to finish learning.
That's true.
Yeah. So thank you very much, and see you in November. Good enough. You are my first interview for October. So I'm going to have an interview with you and your colleagues by November. Thank you so much for your time.
Welcome, sir. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much. So have a great day.
So thank you everybody for attending to the live session. If you have asked the questions, your questions have been answered. Somebody's asking when is the best time to start applying for MSc scholarship for someone still doing BSc. I tell you the time is now, because most of the times it takes let's say 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, even for your visa, your application, your statement of purpose, your references. It takes a lot of time. So you can start looking at that, but most especially before you start doing that, make sure that you've already started working on projects.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? You have started working on projects, because most of the times I do interviews for persons looking for jobs, persons trying to further their learnings, persons trying to partner, persons. The question I ask is that, tell me what you have done.
Yeah,
That's the simple question I ask, because if I can point to 1 or 2, 3 things you have done, of course, you can't finish learning. So I can ask, okay, I think this makes sense. We can build on this. But if you cannot put anything down, so if you are doing a BSc, you're trying to go for a scholarship, maybe for a master's or a PhD, start now and start building projects. Get a Medium account, get a LinkedIn account, get a GitHub account, start open source projects, start working on those things, start pushing it there, because the date also counts. Because if you start something now, it then means by mid next year, it has read, it's almost a year.
Yeah, that you've actually been working on something.
Yes, but if you want to get ready, like I do tell my students, that don't wait for opportunities, right? Get ready for the opportunity, so that once the opportunity comes, then you are ready for it. You just grab it. But if you wait and say, okay, when I see the scholarship, and I start looking, start trying to tick all of this stuff, it's not going to work. It's going to be, you will typically miss it because you are not prepared.
That's very true. Very true.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Catch you guys. And thank you so much, Mr. Rujani.
Have a great month. Happy Independence, Nigeria, too.
Yeah, independence. We pray we are free someday.